Hey, what's up, you guys? My name is StarburstNoF, and welcome back to another episode of LEGO Arts. So, in the last episode, we did a showcase on the Mr. Freeze remake minifigure. So this time, we are back again with some more custom Clone Trooper minifigures. Okay, so I can see we have ARC Trooper 5s, ARC Trooper Echo, Waxer, and Boyle. All of which from Star Wars to Clone Wars. The decals were also purchased from AV Figures. I'll include a link to their website in the description below, so you can go check them out. And this was something that I wanted to get back to for a while. I've mentioned it before, like when I did the first 4 Clone Troopers with Rex, Cody, Jesse, and Wolf. I talked about how I wanted to try it again and again, and I hope to get the opportunity again in the future. And from Christmas, I got like these tubes of decal sealant, and I wanted to test them out. So I purchased like a few new decals, and I've decaled these 4 figures for now. I've done like Bly, and I started to work on Thorn, but I need to fix something with Thorn, and I haven't gotten started on Gree yet. So those 3 figures will be in a separate video later on. But since I already had these 4 decaled and everything, I figured it's just how about we go ahead and showcase these guys, and then later on we'll be finish up Gree and Thorn, we'll do them along with Bly. So, as you guys know the whole drill, we're going to take these minifigures one at a time, do reviewing them, explain my process, why we built this route, and then go from there. So, without further ado, let's get the pedestal out and get the showcase on the road. So to start the showcase off is, of course, none other than ARC Trooper 5s, the clone that knew too much, and one of the best characters in the Clone Wars series. So he was definitely the first character that I started decaling when I got started on this, and I really like how it came out. Granted, a few stuff could have been cleaned up here and there, but to be fair, I forgot how tedious this process can be, So once again, I have mad respect to the guys over at AV and people who also like decal minifigures in general, because it's really not easy for when doing this. And in fact, I had to try out a couple of new techniques, but just looking at the final idea of this character, I really like how it came out. It's the entire general idea of it. So anyways, when looking at this character, I definitely, as you can see, I used a completely different helmet, and that was because I also purchased a bunch of, I talked about it before, but I purchased basically a bunch of Star Wars helmets, and there were a lot of Clone Trooper helmets in it. So I basically just took some nail polish remover, got rid of the knockoff decals, did a little sanding on 2 of them, and then for the rest of them, applied on the brand new decals here and there. So as we can see, we got the breathers. The face is a little wonky, but it does keep up with a little bit here and there. The top part of it could have been a little bit better, but cutting it out and then carefully taking it out from the water and putting it on the helmet was a very tedious process, just to make sure it didn't rip. If we look on the back, you could see this pattern continuing on. It's not perfect, but it does sort of give off that representation for 5s. As you can see, we got this ARC Trooper pack purchased from Clone Army Customs, and with Jesse, I modified it. It's on the back. On the back, I replaced it with a fabric strap piece, added a little bit of clay and did a little detailing work. As you can see, on the arms, and we got some decal printing on the arms. We go ahead and remove the blaster for now. So we got the arms, and then also on the torso sides. Same thing over here. You can see a little bit of bumps here and there, and that's mostly because the arms that I was using, I ran out of some regular blank white minifigures, so I used basically my old Clone Trooper customs, and basically removed the paint job from them and done them as best I could, and then reskin them and everything. So now basically they're new clones. He's also got the little rangefinder on the top, which this is actually the helmet that I mentioned it before. I accidentally drilled too deep into the helmet, so the rangefinder couldn't stay in place. So as you can see, it's glued into the top. As we can see, if we remove this, we can see the god-awful heads. These are all temporary. All these guys have these heads, and they're all temporary. I do plan to get, some new clone heads for them. Clone heads for each and every one of them. But we need to remove this for a second, so we can look at the pull. So we can look at, this custom pauldron that I made. I did this before with Rex. Rex, I didn't do it with Jesse, but I decided to try again. again, for both Fives and Echo. And it's not perfect. It's really not perfect. In fact, it was a little bit tedious to like get it and to like cut it a bunch of times to like get it correctly. But it does sort of like match up with like and like Fives' outfit in the show. So go ahead and just put that back on. And if you recognize like this waist cape piece, this is actually the same one that I used for the first Fives. I just carried it over for this one, because it was a lot easier than to try and like remake it. And then like we can see for the legs, we can see like the printing, and then like continues on here. A little articulation here. You can see of like the amount of sanding that I did in the waist piece. Some of these actually I didn't have to do too much sanding because they were already like wide enough to apply on the decal, and then like just keep it going around there and there. And if we put this back on, again we can see of like with Fives as like all back together, and then also like with these blasters. The blaster admittedly was a bit of a surprise because I didn't know, because one of the weapons pack that I got was just a bunch of random guns, and I found a lot of like these clone blasters, and then it was just like, okay, I can use these for like my clones this time. So while this could have been done a bit better. In fact, the first time I did it was actually a little better than this one. I especially had to like do stuff like add in some glue like on the arms to keep the decals from peeling off completely, and then like testing out the new sealant. It worked pretty well. I will say that it definitely kept the decals more secure better. But this could have been done a little bit better than how I did it beforehand. Like you could see like a couple of stuff that I might have accidentally sprayed some sealants too close to the minifigure. But aside from a few flaws here and there, I do like how it came out in the end. And it was pretty fun to do. And again, the head is temporary. I plan to get like some new clone heads. That's for each and every one of these guys, and paint them up to more of the likeness with them, with the characters on the show. But overall, this is pretty much like ARC Trooper 5's, and like as tragic as his story was, like his exit in the end, I am glad that he actually went out before the fall of the Republic, and he didn't follow Order 66. Next up on our list is ARC Trooper Echo. So for this guy, I definitely did a couple of changes here and there. And for starters, he is in like his ARC Trooper outfit compared to like the custom that I made based off of the concept art. But with this Echo was a little bit better than how I did it with the first, and how I did with like Fives. For starters, the rangefinder is somewhat a little bit bent a little bit. I might have to go back and do like some glue in it, but it does stay secure in here in the hole socket that I drilled into the helmet, so that worked out pretty good. With this helmet, it's a bit more centered than before, which I really like that. And so like you can see like the markings on top of the helmet. Let's look at the back. Yeah, a couple of like basic markings here and there. It did come out a bit better than beforehand. And one of the things that I definitely liked was like the top of the helmet on the back. You see this gray part here. This was actually like one of the few helmets that I was able to apply that on. Most of the time, I had to like just paint it on because it was a bit tedious to like keep it in place, and it kept falling out. And yeah, but it definitely came out pretty good. As you can see, like another pack from Clone Army Customs on the back, and then with the pauldron, slightly different from Fives design, but it definitely like matches up pretty well. Like we got a little ammo click here, and then with the blue, the same gun here. All of them basically have the same blaster, so I just pretty much just kept it as it was. The waist cape piece, it was actually the same one that I used for my custom Echo, but I repainted it completely and redesigned it to match it up for like some of the fabric pieces, like here and there. You could see a little bit of the decal chipping off like on the sides. Again, that was probably because it was a bit too close to it, so that was sort of an unfortunate one. And then like one of my favorite things about this figure, if we move him a little bit, like we can see the torso piece. Let's get a look at that torso. We can see like some air bubbles unfortunately came off of there, unfortunately. But we do have the blue handprint on there. I really, really like this, and this is actually pretty cool. Like, so when you purchase an ARC Trooper Echo decal, it actually comes with 2 torso decals. So we get like this one, the more realistic one, and then as a bonus, they come with this secondary torso or so that has the minifigure handprint on it. And I just think that is just so cool and funny at the same time. That little extra milestone of really making it very Lego-like. I did go ahead with the, like, regular handprint one because I feel like that this one, like, matches up with Echo pretty well. But I just had to keep this torso piece because it's just too awesome. Oh, awesome. And maybe one day I might use it for something else, but until then I just keep it in my drawer. Keep it, like, in my custom drawer for now. Some articulation. There is some articulation in the hands, but I kind of have to do a little bit of force. Like, here and there. And then most of the pack, mostly, like, with the packs, it's basically pretty much the same. Like, I did a little sanding, added in some clay and detail work. Okay. And it does have, like, the face underneath, which we will not show to the light of day. And, of course, there is some articulation with the legs, and with the legs as well. I do believe, hopefully. Like, I haven't done too much of it. Yeah, there's some articulation here and there, which is a good thing. I think, but in general, it was pretty fun to, like, do this character. Like, for a long time, Echo was, like, one of my favorite characters, and I definitely love that they kept up in for Season 7 of Echo's return to the Clone Wars as more of, like, a cyborg, and joining the Bad Batch, which I'm definitely going to be working on that figure, like, when Bad Batch comes out. I don't know if I'll like actually customize Bad Batch figures or just to get like some of those knockoff figures and do some modifications. But Bad Batch is definitely like on the list for like showcases in the future. And I can't wait to like try my attempt at doing like Echo, especially that like cyborg arm, and sort of like his helmet and decal designs here and there. So it'll definitely be really cool to like see where that series is gonna go, and I can't wait to see like more adventures with Echo in the future. Next up on our list is Waxer. So, in comparison with, like, applying decals on this minifigure compared to Fives and Echo and even Bly, this one was a little bit easier than before. Unfortunately, though, like, as you can see on the back, it's slightly off-centered, and that's mostly the minifigure's fault. I have no idea why, but for some reason it's a little bit slanted, but it's mostly noticeable on the back, really. Like, the rest of the figure, he's pretty much straightforward. I have no idea why. But it came out like that. He's got, like, some articulation. Definitely articulation in the legs. But I actually had to, like, go back and drill enough into, like, so we can see here, like, I completely drilled more into this side, the minifigure. I was somewhat aiming to, like, drill all the way to the point for where it was, all the way for I almost broke it, because it turned out I didn't drill in enough to where, like, he could move his waist, like, his torso or so forward and back, and the decal kept, like, chipping off a little bit. So I had to, like, go back with the sealant to fix that, and then also go back with the Dremel tool and just basically, like, drill the hell out of it a lot more than before. Luckily, it was all fixed, and it came out pretty good. As we can see here, like, on the sides, he's got, like, the red tally marks. I'm pretty sure this represents droid kills. On top of here, like, we can see, like, the gray component, like, matches up with up here, and then, like, we get a better look at that helmet design. Like, we can see, like, the red tally marks on the helmet, and it also, so, like, as a bonus, I'm guessing this is for, like, more of a special droid, but we see, like, this, like, this black printing of a droid, which honestly, I did not know that was on there until I saw the actual decal, and it's just like, oh, okay, that's actually a thing. And if we look back on this side, we can see, like, the red tally marks again. And then my favorite piece on the decals is the Numa head drawing Waxer put on his helmet. I just love the fact that the guys on AV actually, like, went in and did all the detailing, the detail work, to replicate, like, Waxer's paintwork and work on his helmet, and they placed it on the decal. I did that. I tried to, like, replicate that. Like, hang on, if we quickly, like, get the helmet, and get, like, the first helmet, like, this was actually the original, like, Waxer figure I customized. But if we look at the helmet, you can clearly see that, like, I tried replicating that, but it didn't really go so well. So the fact that, like, they actually did, like, those microscopic details on the decal here is just really fantastic, and I really, really love it. Plus also his face, the face decal actually matches up more and it's more like centered and matches up pretty well with like the entirety of the figure. Figure. So like when adding on like these, you can see like these tiny little details didn't fully like match up like on the sides of the helmets, unfortunately, but that was sort of like a given, as like there will be mistakes like when customizing this sort of things. But I think for now on I'll stick to more on purchasing like the Clone Army custom Blink helmets, because as good as like these knockoff helmets were, they did provide in a couple of problems here and there. So new ideas for next time. Next time I try to attempt one of these. But overall, I really like how he came out. And Waxer's definitely one of my favorite characters. I really liked him. And like the same thing with Fives, I am glad that even though like his death was sad, I am glad that he went out and under the Clone Wars before Order 66 fully kicked in. And last up on our list is Boyle. So when doing this, when decaling this clone, it was pretty much the same as with Waxer, except for like the helmet. Like the helmet was the only difference between the two. The rest of the minifigure is roughly about the same, except for like the lack of the tally marks on this side. But that's actually okay. And I had to do, and even though I technically didn't have to do it, I did a little extra sanding on the waist, so that way like just as sort of like insurance to make sure that like I could move this guy with like without like any of the decals coming off. Luckily though, it came out pretty good. So I didn't have to do like too many repairs here and there. And also in comparison, like the decals look a little bit more cleaner than the other ones that I've done. Like you can see that, like especially on the front. Hang on, we'll put it back here. You can see on the front there's a little bit of chipping off at the corner, but aside from that, it's pretty much okay. With the helmet though, we can see that like it was like pretty basic. And I said just like putting on like the breathers and then like the front and a bit on the sides of the helmets. As you can see, like I painted those in. In hindsight, I probably should have waited to paint on like this orange on like the sides of the helmet. That's because it unfortunately like bleeded into the decal, so it almost looks like blood, kind of is like leaking into the helmet. Unfortunately, so that was unfortunately a downside with that. But I wanted to go ahead with the paint because when trying to like cut out like the sides it's for the helmets, those were so tiny that when trying to like pull them out with the pliers, they kept getting like wrapped up around, and they wouldn't like fit in properly. So I went ahead with like the paint instead. On the back, you could see like I added in like a little detail on the back, some little extra like in the holes like where the legs are supposed to connect, but those could be easily like chipped out with an extra knife, as well. And like on here, I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be like a spaceship, or maybe it's like some sort of symbol on top of the helmet. But we got that as well. And like this little red triangle on the very top of his helmet. And of course he's got the blaster. So again, like with this one, he did come out. It was pretty easy to do since it was about like the same with like Waxer. But the helmet. If there's one thing I could change, it would be like painting on the helmet. Or at least wait until like the whole thing was completely like sealed up and dried, and then like went back in for that paint work. That was my only main regret that I had. Other than that, the rest of the figure like did a couple of challenges, especially with the arms. Like making sure those were on, and same thing with the legs. But aside from those minor challenges, this did turn out pretty cool. So again, the helmet I fixed. The rest of the figure, it did turn out okay. And there we go. That is going to do it for this episode of LEGO Arts. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And again, despite that this can be a tedious process to do, especially for like making sure like the decals are in place, then applying it on with the sponge, then playing on like another decal, but the other one getting slipped off. Aside from like how tedious of a process it can be, in the end, it is pretty fun on customizing like doing these decal clones. And I'll be doing another one that as soon as I finish up with Bly and I fix Thorn. Next Thorn, we'll be showcasing those two along with Bly in the future. I don't know when that's coming out, but as soon as I finish up with the remaining two clones, I'll be recording that episode of LEGO Arts, and I'll be getting back to like some of the other projects that with the Procreate clays that since it worked out pretty well. turned out pretty well. I'm thinking about like maybe like some new ideas of like what sort of like characters I can make with the Procreate Clay. So I'll be playing for all of that in the future. I also should be able to get back to Let's Plays pretty soon. I don't know exactly if whether or not to go back to Batman Arkham Knight or to keep up with like Kingdom Hearts Final Mix, or maybe switch over to like PC and do do a couple of games here and there. But I will be getting back into the flow of things pretty soon, just like finalizing a couple of stuff here and there. And yeah, that's gonna pretty much be it. So if you want to purchase AV figure decals and some parts from like Clone Army Customs, I'll include links to both of their websites in the description below. Go check them out because they do fantastic work. Like doing decals, custom clone molds with fabrics, blasters, helmets, minifigures, the whole 9 yards So go check them out and support them because those guys are really, really amazing. And overall, that's gonna be it. So thank you all so much for watching this video, and I'll see you next time in the next video. Bye bye.